web development. Making their debut to the world, Mall Alternative Rock and Roll with frontman Chris Young, conquering the mastery of their music and capturing the essence of pure adrenaline. Visit them online at mallrock.com for upcoming shows, and don't forget to pick up the new self-titled debut album, available anywhere music is sold.
It is time for another episode of Drinks at Sunset with
The Wise Guys.
I'm J. Anthony McCarthy, and
I'm Steve Sable. That was a little pregnant pause we had there to start the show.
Yeah,
little Cesora, right?
Yeah, exactly. We are two men of a certain age trying to make our way as entertainers, actors, producers, directors, creators in this entertainment town of Hollywood, Los Angeles, California.
La La Land.
La La Land. So.
The land of crazy La La.
And we're coming to you each week just chatting about our lives, trying to let people know about what's going on out here, the things that we experience as we just make our way through our daily lives and try to make some kind of success happen. As always, we'll talk a little bit about our week and some of the things that interest us. We'll probably touch on some sports at some point, maybe not.
Maybe.
And you'll hear us each week on currently on Excite Radio at 10 p.m. on Thursday nights.
That's right.
You can also check us out at... Well, if you'd like to comment on the show, let me put it this way. If you're interested in anything that we're doing, if you want to let us know something, or if you have a topic for us, just let us know at sswiseguys@aol.com. That's our email address. That is SS, two S's, wiseguys with an S at the end, at AOL.com.
Beautiful. You did that like you've done it before.
You know, we've talked about that once or twice.
Beautiful. Yeah, and also you can see some of our work, our
some of the videos and things
we've done. We got our own website called thewiseguys.net, thewiseguys.net, and our YouTube channel is The Wise Guys TV. That's also our Twitter handle as well, The Wise Guys TV. So there it is right there. Also, one of the things we like to do when we speak to us, or to you all, is have a little drink.
Yep.
And speaking of which, what are you drinking?
Well, it is called Drinks at Sunset with the Wise Guys.
Yes,
I personally am drinking the bourbon and ginger. I think it's the Canadian Mist.
Oh, yes, it is.
And a little such Canada Dry ginger ale.
You got the Canada Dry. They get the nice little small cans. It works really well.
100% natural flavors made from real ginger.
There you go.
Again, Canada Dry is not one of our sponsors. We don't have any, but, Hope Springs Eternal. So.
There you go. And I got the old standby. I got the Oak Heart Spiced Rum by Bacardi.
Yep.
Which is delicious. And, I put it with a little Dr. Pepper. And call me crazy, but I think it's a nice drink.
Yeah, it's fascinating. It's like I different times in my life. When I was in high school, I was the white knight. I didn't do anything. I didn't do any drugs. I didn't drink. I didn't do any of that stuff. I chased girls. That was pretty much my only vice.
So you were the horny white knight.
Yeah, that was pretty much it. And I was also careful because, it's like I was the guy that
you
showed
had
up.
protection?
Yeah, well, no, I mean, I was the guy that when I showed up at parties, if the girl was drunk, I would certainly pay attention to her, but
you're the gallant.
I didn't take advantage of her.
Oh, that was nice,
I don't think that's right.
No.
Actually, that's one of the things I'm going to talk about later on in the show is just talking about men and the way they deal with women, particularly online. There's some different stories that are going around that I would like to mention because I don't quite understand it. I mean, I know how when I was a teenager how desperate I was to get a girl to notice me, and I did some really stupid things. I pinched a girl in the butt.
Did you really?
Yeah, which is in this day and age sexual harassment and would have gotten me in a lot of trouble. At the time, it got me slapped in the face publicly. And I learned that I was never to do that again, and I was always...
Of course, she liked it.
Well, yeah, that's a different thing. Yeah. So, but typically, most girls don't appreciate that kind of approach.
I remember one time in high school, I'll never forget, because you're sitting in a row, right? You got I don't know, 4 or 5 rows of 7 to 10 people deep. All right, so I'm like, the girl in front of me, Ruth Ronan, I'll never forget it. Ruth Ronan, I sat behind her. And I'm taking, you know how you got your pens, right?
Right.
I'm just trying to do something with my hands because the teacher's going on and on about something.
Right.
So I'm unscrewing my pen, and then screwing it back together, and then unscrewing it and screwing it back together. Well, I unscrewed it one time, and the spring that allows it to click up and down pops off my pen and goes right into the seat of the girl in front of me.
Right.
And it's just sticking here. So I'm like, I can't put my pen together without the screw or the spring.
The spring, right.
So I'm bending over, reaching for it, and at that time, right when I'm trying to grab it, she backs up. So all I get is a big
handful of
butt, and she's like, "What are you doing? What are you doing?" And then finally, she realized what I was doing. But at that time, all eyes on me, including the teacher, because it was not something that looked like anything respectable or anything like that,
or respectful.
But the girl was laughing because she knew what I was trying to do, and it wasn't anything serious to her, but it was super embarrassing to me because it looked like I was grabbing her ass, although she was a very fine young lady at the time, and I wish I would have had it smart to even think of that plan, but it wasn't. It was totally innocent. But boy, oh boy, did I get the old evil eye from the teach.
So, in keeping with our general concept and everything else, we'll talk about our weeks coming up here. You want to talk about your week this past week at all?
Well, first I want to say Happy Easter.
Oh, yeah, Happy Easter.
Happy Easter. I think I remember seeing you over at a friend of ours.
Yeah, we went over to a mutual actor friend of ours and good friend of ours home for a barbecue. He has an annual barbecue both on Easter and usually on the 4th of July as well.
Yeah,
so,
that's true.
Andy Forrest, who, if you see our videos, he's Captain Guinness O'Hara, who shows up throughout the year.
I told Andy this at the party, and I'm gonna tell you all today. One of my favorite lines that it's in our episodes, and this gives you an idea how much fun we have, or at least how much fun I have. Is when Carlito comes in or when Andy comes in on Super Bowl 47 at the end,
right?
And he goes, "All right, hands up, nobody move, everybody's hands up." And then Carlito says, "Oh no, it's Captain Guinness. What is it? Or Captain Guinness O'Hara."
Right. He actually says his name correctly.
And Andy pauses and goes and looks at us and he goes, "Well, how can he get it right? You guys can't ever get it right." Because every time he's in the show, we always screw up his name on purpose.
Specifically, yeah. It was
to piss him off.
A shtick.
It's so much fun.
But yeah, we were over at his barbecue. We got to meet with a lot of different people, and actually, I'm going to talk about that right now just briefly because it's exciting. Because it's one of the things we've talked about. You know, we've teased the idea of actually have some of our actor friends show up for, or actor and entertainer friends out here show up for one of our broadcasts.
Right.
And so we talked to.
Are you actually going to tease for next week?
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Let's hear this one.
We talked to a group of our friends, all of whom have had different levels of success out here in Los Angeles. Andy Forrest, when you see him, you'll realize you recognize him from multiple commercials, national commercials, and also from a recurring role that he has on Parks and Recreation.
Yes, he does.
And
he actually voted on a list of what the top 10 most recognizable or whatever recurring roles on Parks and Recreation.
Yeah, and also from a lovely little co-star that he had on Brooklyn Nine-Nine this past season, which I think is a great show. I'm so sorry I haven't been able to get on it. But he did, and I'm very proud of him. A couple of my friends actually have. But we also talked with several other friends that all have, like I said, have had different levels of success. And all of them are very into the idea of actually coming on and chatting with us, letting us hear their viewpoints, their lives, things that head this way. And to accomplish that for you guys, we are actually going to be at the Excite Studios going live.
Possibly in the next couple of weeks, hopefully next week.
Yeah. And doing this live at 10 p.m. on Thursday as opposed to a pre-taped thing, which we're doing right now.
Yeah, because of schedule.
Yeah, scheduling. It's always about scheduling because our schedules differ from week to week depending upon jobs, auditions, et cetera, et cetera. Mm-hmm. I'm very excited about that. I'm actually going to be able to be live in the studio with some of these people at some point.
With a special guest.
Yeah, and that's going to be it. Hopefully next week and possibly over the next several weeks. We will see how it all plays out. Yeah. But we're trying to get you a little cross-section of things instead of just listening to us talk about our,
Bloviate.
yeah, exactly. Bloviate is a perfect word for that.
Bloviate
So,
about things.
but
Although not that we don't bloviate well.
yeah, we enjoy bloviating. You know, there's a certain point where bloviating is just a pleasurable pastime if you're verbal in your enjoyments. So, having said that, and happy Easter, and how was your week?
Good. I mean, I thought it was an enjoyable party, get together, soiree over at Andy's. Lots of good food, lots of good conversation.
Yep.
Learned some things.
Yeah.
Met some people who you've told stories to me about.
Right.
And caught up on some things with some people. Found out that a couple of people who've worked with us in some of our web series and videos are willing to jump back in if we ever want to put our shows back up.
Which, we're definitely looking at right now.
Yeah, so stay tuned because there could be an additional, I'm going to give an additional tease. There could be an additional season coming up here, and we pick the winners with the Wise Guys.
Yep.
So you could see a video coming up shortly.
Yep.
So that'll be great.
You'll be able to see the current state of Big Paulie and Vinny Two Times.
Vinny Two Times, yes. And those guys show up from time to time on our show.
Yeah, when they have something to talk about. They usually like talking about football, though.
Yeah, they usually talk about sports,
so.
And girls and eating and money and stuff like that. But anyways, so that was good. That was interesting. Other than that, same old. I found out that, or realized that in the next couple of months, I'm going to have to get something a little bit more permanent from a day job. Mm-hmm. That's unfortunately the reality of being an actor, is if you expect to live off of acting, you better be in the 0.1% of actors, because the rest of us have to have day jobs to survive until that opportunity and big break comes. Yep. Because until then, you're hooking and jabbing for everything you get, and you better have something that provides some type of income that allows you to... I saw a video on YouTube that was on somebody's Facebook page. It has 4 or 5 of the male actors put together a table. And it's like a round table, and they're asking them questions. And they say, "What was it? What was? Do you remember where you were, or what it was that got you your big break?" And the guy who does Mad Men, what's his name?
John Hamm.
John Hamm.
Yeah.
Says, it's like anything. It's just perseverance. And he goes, for 10 years, it took me 10 years to get to my break. And he says, prior to that, I'm living day to day, wondering where my next meal's coming, where my next paycheck's coming. He says this is just the grind of trying to be in this business of acting or this business of show, and it's an eye opener when you're hearing people who are very successful now talk about what it was like prior to that success.
Oh yeah, and
it's really no different in some respects on what Tony and I are going through and what we've been talking about here in our podcast. It's a day-to-day hand combat, if you want to call that, of survival. So until you get that one opportunity or one break that can open up one big door or several little doors that all start adding up and aligning until you're on people's radar.
Right.
And once you get on the right people's radar, then things can happen and opportunity, becomes a lot more prevalent. Yeah. Prior to that, you're just hooking and jabbing. So, one of the things you got to think about is, what do you do in the meantime to survive? Well, you got to get a day job.
Right.
Unless you're wealthy, independent wealthy, or you get an inheritance, or you get lucky and hit the lottery, which I haven't yet.
No.
But I've been trying. But that's it. So you get a day job. So now how do you get a day job that still gives you the flexibility of being able to get out there when you hit the door, when the door comes knocking for that opportunity?
I mean, here's the thing I want to say about that.
So you got to really, really juggle that and find something. So jump in.
Yeah, keep your thought. But what I want to say about that right here is, when I was fully represented, when I had both theatrical, commercial, and voiceover, I would find out about my voiceover auditions the night before. Okay? I would find out about my theatrical auditions anywhere from several days before to the night before to once or twice the day of. When I had my commercials, I often did not know about them until the day of, which means if I'm already at my job, I have to be able to go, gotta go, I have an appointment at 2 o'clock, I'll be back afterwards, or I'll see you tomorrow, or something like that. You have to be in a job that lets you do stuff like that.
That will give you that flexibility, or at least have the understanding of that's what it's like. Now, some jobs will say, yeah, go take the time. You're not going to get paid, but take the time. But
Right.
at least it'll say you can still come back tomorrow.
Right.
A lot of jobs in a lot of places outside of LA will say, yeah, go for it, but don't come back.
Right.
And there's your job.
Yeah. You don't work here anymore,
Yeah.
but we wish you the best.
We wish you the best. Right?
Or sometimes not even that. It's like, well, you got to make a choice. Do you work here or are you an actor? It's like,
Yeah, I mean,
my answer every time has been I'm an actor.
I
so.
booked that movie role,
Right.
No Better Place to Die.
Mm-hmm.
All right, went in audition, got the call back, met the director. He said, Steve, not a problem, you're the guy.
Right.
Right? 7 weeks in Europe.
Right.
I had a full-time job.
Right.
I had a day job, as you want to call it. It was, making some decent money, but it was a day job because I needed something to build some type of income so I can, survive if I ever got laid off or whatever.
Right.
Well, at the time, I'm going, oh my gosh, what am I going to do? I got 7 weeks. I got to be leaving here in a couple of months, right?
Right.
So I go to my day job and say, hey, I need to get a leave of absence because I booked a movie role and it looks like it's going to be a 7-week gig. They say, great, but we can't guarantee your job when you come back.
Right.
Because that's the reality of that type of commitment. And I understood that. I didn't like it, but I understood that. Now, as it turns out, the movie got pushed because the funding fell, because this was in 2008, and that's when the crash hit, and all the money dropped out of a lot of independent movies, and this was one of them. So, but it gave me a real lesson learned with what happens when you do get put in that. Now, I had to make a decision. Do I stay at this job that I make money in, that I can pay all my bills on and actually save a little money, or do I take an opportunity and go 7 weeks and maybe I'll make a little bit of money. I was going to make money doing that, and but that might be my only gig for another 2 years, 3 years, 4 years.
Exactly right.
So it's not enough to live on for 2 years or 4 years. It was basically enough to live on for maybe 3 or 4 months.
Right.
So that's the trade-off. I got a cushy job where I can as long as I'm doing my job, I could stay at that job and make money for years and years and years. Well, as it turns out, with the economy crash, that job dried up in 6 months anyways.
Right.
But, you don't know that going in. But that's what that was. He goes, yeah, you can go. You can take all the time you want. It's because there's not going to be a job when you come back.
because you're done here. Thank you.
And part of it was because it was a 7-week commitment.
Right.
I thought maybe I could, I wrestled with the idea, well, what if I go in and tell them my parents are sick and I got to go home and, and I need a medical leave. And I said, no, I'm not going to. I'm going to tell the truth because that's what's going on in my life. And I want to be able to sleep at night. So I went in and told them, and that's what I was faced with. So, like I said, I didn't have to make that decision because of, the kind of the other end of it got taken care of. But that's the reality of being out here. And when you do get a good day job, then all of a sudden that could throw up in your face.
Oh yeah, and here's the other thing. Just because of the choices we made, where we are, what we're doing, we're in Los Angeles, which recent studies have shown to be the highest rental, and you just
Not
what
complaining,
you pay for.
not complaining,
Again,
just letting
this
reality,
is,
let
this
you know
is the
what reality
statement of
is.
where we are.
Yep.
This is the highest amount that you're going to pay for rent. There's that idea that supposedly 30% of what you take home for money is what you should spend on rent. That most landlords out here ask that you're making at least 3 times, be able to prove that you're making 3 times the monthly rent before they'll let you move in.
Right.
Problem is,
Sign a lease.
for most of the people that are out here, and this is a thing that just went up on NPR this last week, the map it shows that typically people in Los Angeles, unless they are rich, are spending anywhere from 30 to 45%, if not more, of their pay to just pay rent. This isn't talking about utilities,
Right.
or food or gas or any of the other stuff. Purely rent. And again, you said, not complaining. This is the reality of where we are, but it just means that some of those day jobs, which don't pay that much to begin with, become even more sketchy for being able to survive.
I know.
So,
which is why it's hard to even to afford a 1-bedroom apartment.
Yep.
It's almost better to get a 2-bedroom apartment because then you can get a roommate and kind of cut your costs.
Yep.
Now, the flip side of that is you got to live with somebody. You got to find somebody you're going to live with, and that's not always great. But, you know, that's the reality of it, because I know people who have 3 or 4 roommates. They
Yep.
get a big enough place where they can get, 4 bedrooms or something. And now, you can kind of get the cost down a little bit that way, but still, that's what it is out here. That's part of this grind. And that's what John Hamm?
John Hamm, as
That's
you
what
said.
John Hamm was saying. He says, there was times he was living in his car.
Yep.
I mean, because that's what you have to do to survive in some cases. And, I'm sure it wasn't for long, but, I understand that. Jim Carrey, the same thing.
Yep.
He was living in his car.
Yep.
He was homeless for a while.
John Hamm talks about it taking him 10 years. I've been out here actually in the business for 18, which on one hand is really scary to say. On the other hand, there are other people who have been there that have, it was 10 years, 15 years, 20 years, 25 years for their quote-unquote overnight success.
Yeah. Clooney, 10 years.
Yep.
Before he got ER.
Yep.
Prior to that, everything he's, did was kind of one hit fizzle and out. And finally he hit with ER, and that put him on the road, to where he is now. But prior to that was 10 years of really nothing going on other than a pilot here, a pilot there, onesies, twosies, movie of the week, but nothing that would really put him on the map. And bam. And that's what we talk about. It's not the sprint, it's the marathon.
Yep.
You're here for, the grind, and I'm 8 years in.
Yep.
I'm actually on my 9th year right now.
Yeah. So this is part and parcel of it. So for what you're doing, you're going to have to find another day job or an additional day job because the current one is going to dry up when summertime hits.
Which is what's going on with me. I teach after school program chess to elementary kids, and school's going to be out here in May, end of May-ish. So from May to August, September, I'm going to have to figure out a way of supplementing that income, or finding a better paying job that I won't have to get two part-times. But either way, that's just my reality. That's the path I've chosen right now, and so I got to figure that out. I got a little bit of time. Hopefully, I can put all that together. But happy Easter! I thought the food was great.
It was fun. There's so many different people that brought different things.
Yeah.
The one girl who brought in the spanakopita, which is a Greek spinach dish. It was not typical because it didn't have phyllo dough for it. There was some other kind of dough that she used, and it was just marvelous. And I'm not a big fan of spanakopita. It was delicious.
That's easy for you to say. And then your friend brought some walnut dip, red pepper walnut dip. What was his name?
Richard Abraham.
Richard Abraham. It was delicious. I went up and tried it. It was delicious.
The theater actor out here in L.A. who is also a marvelous cook. Like one of these guys who's like, you guys are going to have a little birthday party? Okay, I'll bring over 4 dishes. And it'll be like, 2 unbelievable desserts, one of which he's going to flambe right there. It's like, oh, let me just run in the kitchen because I got to set up the the flames and stuff like that. And he's kind of astonishing with that stuff. It's amazing that he's not a big fat dude because he's not.
Oh no, he's thin as a rail. I hate him.
Yeah.
And he's tall. I hate him for that too.
But
and he's got facial hair. I hate him.
Yeah, well,
he grew a beard, right?
Yeah, he did. It's a very interesting beard. I'll tell you, it makes him look like the Gorton fisherman.
There you go. Yeah, it's true. Yeah. That's true. You put a rain hat on him, a slicker.
Yep.
He's on a boat.
Yep. So.
But anyways, that was kind of my week. Nothing crazy per se.
Right.
How was your week?
Up and down, the typical.
Any auditions?
Yeah, I was going to get to that.
Oh, okay.
The typical roller coaster ride. Some poorly timed things on my part recently, but outside of that, finished up Tartuffe last Saturday night.
Oh, congratulations!
Got a great reaction. Really good crowds. Really appreciative people. Thoroughly enjoyed it. Really sad to see all my castmates and saying we're done.
Nothing. I mean, I love doing theater. I love the rush. I love doing the performance. I love going out after a good performance.
Right.
And just having fun with the cast. But at the end, when you're striking the set, oh man, it's just like. And then the next day, it's like, it's such a. I don't want to say a letdown, but it's just. You're just like...
Well, your world is different.
It's just so different, and you're just like, oh, man.
Because your job, which is doing that show, is not there anymore,
Yeah.
I because it's a 99-seat theater and I'm a member of one of the major unions, I got paid a small stipend
that's nice.
for that, which is fantastic because the company that I belong to, they work really hard to toe the line on everything they're supposed to do out here legally. They're a great group. Theater Unleashed, theaterunleashed.com. If you're in Los Angeles, I suggest you come out and look at their shows. Or every month or two, they will every couple of months, they will have auditions for the company, and it's a great group of people. There's a bunch of shows coming up in the Hollywood Fringe Festival in June that Theater Unleashed is going to be doing. I'm not actually going to be in any of the Theater Unleashed shows at Fringe Festival because I agreed to help somebody else out.
Oh, okay.
And I'm going to be doing some other short plays. But if you come to our shows, I will be at the front of house for a lot of them because that's part of my job as a theater member, as a company member.
Everybody pitching in, right?
Yep. So we finished that up. Just some good responses and everything else. And what wound up happening was the gentleman who played Tartuffe, Philip Kelly, is a member of the Magic Castle. He's
no way.
Yeah, he is.
Love that place.
I've never been. I had never
Oh
been.
my God!
And one of the things that he made a big deal out of was he was able to get us in as a group.
Can I come?
We already did it.
You went to the Magic Castle and you didn't tell me?
This is what I'm getting to right now.
Oh man!
So.
Love that place.
But I also have contacts now where we should be able to get back in.
Okay. Well, no, you got to go with a member if you're not a member.
Well, that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying.
Okay, we'll see.
You got to let me finish something sometimes, So, but basically, what happened was the entire cast and backstage crew and everyone went to the Magic Castle, got to see all the different shows. On top of which, just the timing of it. This was the Monday after our last thing. The timing of it was such that some friends of ours who are members who do their own show happened to be there that night polishing their newest show. We had no idea they were going to be there. But these guys named David and Lehman,
Why
Lehman
don't you
Parker
give a little
and
background
David.
on what the Magic Castle is?
Magic Castle,
knows
Magic Castle is a mansion out here in LA. It's been here for a number of years. I'd have to actually look at their website to give you all the history on it. But basically, a group, the Magicians Council or whatever it is that they have, all of the different magic entertainers from across the United States and around the world created this membership. And the Magic Castle is this old mansion that has been done up with just astonishingly beautiful stuff. They have all kinds of bits and pieces from different entertainers from throughout history, including some of Houdini stuff and everything there. Right. It's a very well appointed place. You have to show up in dinner clothes. Yep. Men wear jackets and ties. Yep. You cannot walk in wearing sneakers and jeans and stuff. If you show up without a jacket and tie, but have the rest of it, they will supply you with an ungodly, ugly jacket and tie, but you will wear that thing and you will wear it through the night. You don't take your jacket off and carry it around with you from room to room. Nope. There is a restaurant that's there. As most of the time as a guest, you actually, part of your deal is to go in and have dinner, which is, I think it's a prefix where you pay a certain amount and they serve you, the different different courses that come out. And then you basically have the run of the castle. There's close-up magic where guys will sit right at a table right next to you and do stuff with cards and coins and ribbons and thumbtacks and all kinds of just amazing stuff. And then there's a main stage show. And then there's some of the smaller theaters that also have different people. And the week that we went was also a week that they have a magic camp where there's young people from all over the world who normally, if you're under 18, you can't get in there. They get to come and for the entire week they were learning and practicing magic with the best and allowed to hang out at the castle and watch the shows and everything else.
Nice. Nice.
So it was really fascinating watching and listening to some of the magicians and entertainers adjusting their shows to the fact that their audience was perhaps a little underage sometimes. So some of the sexuality, some of the double entendres were glossed over a little bit. But it was amazing seeing just how good these guys were. Had a fantastic conversation. It's one of the things that I wanted to bring up with you that I found fascinating. Walked in to watch this close-up magic. We got there at the last second, so we were allowed to do standing room. And because it was there was a lady in our group, one of the audience members who was sitting right up front gets up and says, "Please take my seat." And she's like, "No, no, 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 no. I'll stand." He says, "Look, I'm a member of the Magic Castle. I'm a magician. If I don't give you my seat, they're going to kill me." Very polite, very sweet, very nice and everything. Comes over, starts chatting with me and some of the other actors that are leaning against the wall. He says, "So are you guys magicians as well? Were you here for the camp or anything?" No, we're actors." "Oh my God, actors. I will never understand why more actors don't do magic. You've already got the hard part." And we stood there and just stared at him. We were like, "What?" I said, "There's a reason I don't do magic. I have relatively small hands, and I'm a klutz sometimes. The idea of me doing, being a card mechanic or a coin guy or something like that is anathema to me. I've tried stuff, and I'm terrible at it." Uh-huh. He's like, "Anybody can learn that." He said, "But you guys already know the hard part. You know how to talk to people. Yeah. You can get up in front of a group of people and talk to them, and that is a huge thing." He says, "The rest of it is just practice."
They call it the pattern.
Yep.
Yep.
And it was fascinating, and it was fascinating watching him respond to the magician that was on stage, checking in with us to see what we were responding to. The guy was studying people in the room the whole time. It was fascinating to watch, but it was a blast. It was a great evening. Wound up drinking alcohol, which I normally don't do except at this show, mm-hmm. And enjoyed it immensely. So, and got to have that experience with my cast.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's
also
awesome.
Had an audition with a casting director that I haven't heard from in 4 years.
Wow. Out
of the blue, he's casting a movie, calls me in for a part. I can't talk about the title of the film, but the part that I'd be playing would be a corrupt police chief.
Nice.
And it was a great read, and he was excited to see me and was asking me about all kinds of stuff. And he remembered some of the things that I've done. He's like, "You guys still doing that web series?" And things like that. And I got to chat to him about that and everything. So we'll see. That was just that. And a couple of really good voiceover auditions, another one tonight for tomorrow, and also two actual, not just auditions from general things, but two different people who contacted me, one through Voice 123, which is a voice clearinghouse for people who are out there of all different levels, amateur to pro, for opportunity to get voiceover work from around the world. Contacted me directly saying they'd be interested in talking to me about doing a thing for a video game.
Nice.
Awesome. And then another friend of mine who was like, "Hey, these guys I'm doing something with, they've got this new web thing going up that it's going to be an animated educational thing, and it's going to be for tablets and stuff like that, and we've got these different characters and they needed voices." And I thought, I'm going to call Jay Anthony. And so I got to read for two things that weren't anywhere else. They weren't on breakdowns or anything like that.
Oh, nice.
So just some great opportunities this week. And I'll tell you, if I hadn't made my mistake with my day job earlier today, I'd be flying high,
Yeah.
But I made a mistake with my day job. I turned off an alarm and slept through a shift, basically, and had a conversation with my boss that was just me going, basically, "I'm an idiot, and I apologize, and I won't let it happen again." And it's just a horrible feeling. On top of which, I really could have used the money.
I hear you.
It wasn't just missing the shift and looking like an asshole. Excuse me, I'm going to say that because that's what I feel like. But also on top of that, screwing myself out of the money. So, but we'll see how it all comes out. At this point in time, I'm not in big trouble. I just better not let that happen again.
I hear.
So,
you can't.
And here's the other thing: if 3 or 4 of these voiceover things come through, or if this movie comes through or something like that, well, the day job won't be quite as important. But I still would like to leave it on my own circumstances rather than screwing myself out of a job or as I did today, screwing other people by not showing up, for God's sake. I think I said this to you earlier today. That's like a teenager with his first job who went out and smoked some dope the night before and forgot.
Wait a minute, you smoked dope and you didn't call me?
I didn't. No, I didn't smoke any dope. I don't. I have friends who do. I don't. I don't have a card, and I'm not interested in one. So. Okay. You have enough problems. We could probably get you a card out here in LA. So.
Oh, you could? Oh, great.
We just need to get you to a doctor.
They just look at me and they go, "You need a card."
Yeah, exactly. Just go in and tell them what your problems are, and We can do that. So,
well, thanks. I
but that's
appreciate that.
yeah, exactly.
Thanks, yeah.
So that's my week. That's what I've been
big
through.
of you.
That's
I
my
appreciate it.
actor. That's my actor angst and.
Well, I got a question
experiences
for you
and
about
stuff
your
this week.
actor angst.
Yeah.
I got a question for you. You say
Sure.
you got a couple of voiceover auditions.
Yes, sir.
Now, what would be the type of auditions you're getting called in for or getting sent? Let me list a couple.
Okay.
Would they be video game voices?
Yes, occasionally, yeah.
Cartoon?
Occasionally, yes. Animation,
Commercial?
yes.
Narrator type of commercials? Sympathy, like...
Yeah, that and just straight up, the new Jaguar, that kind of stuff.
All right. So my question for, let's say, the narrative commercial types,
Right.
The new Jaguars.
Yeah.
Now, when you go in, sometimes you could be, a lot of times you go to the actual studio agency and do it there, correct?
Right. When I first started out, the way my agent handles it, and the way I think most of the major agencies handle it, they have their own sound booth, their own engineer.
Okay.
Sometimes the engineer is the agent. Sometimes they have an actual engineer. I know Imperium 7 had their own. I know that another agent that I've dealt with is her own engineer.
Okay. But the agent you got now, we don't have to name him if you don't want to.
No, Portia Scott with Coast to Coast
Okay,
Talent
fantastic.
Agency.
All
She's
right.
fantastic.
I know, she's great.
Yeah.
So you go there, and most of the time Portia's there?
Right.
Okay. And so at this point, Portia knows what you're auditioning for, right?
Right, exactly.
Okay.
She's the one that called me in for it.
So you go in, you do your first read,
Right?
and then does she say, okay, that's great, now let's do it another way?
No.
Okay.
Here's the thing. This is what it is. She expects me to come in and blow the doors off. Okay?
I understand that.
And if I come in and don't blow the doors off, she'll say, all right, I didn't like this part, or this could be better. This is what they're trying for. Let's take it again. She'll give me a second shot at it.
Got it.
There have been once or twice where, for whatever reason, I just wasn't in the pocket. I wasn't getting it, or whatever it was, that she just was like, you know what, get out.
Oh, okay.
There've been other times. Most of the time, I walk in the door, I do one read, and I'm out the door.
Oh, they scored.
And
tied it up.
Yep. And so we're watching the Chicago Blackhawks St. Louis Blues game out of the background there. That's
Yeah,
something
we got to
have
watch
do.
sports while we do the show,
But
which is going to be something I'm going to have to adjust to, because when we go to the studio, I don't think they're going to have sports on.
yeah, probably not. Well, we can always put a tablet up that has a game on it for you. We can find somebody with that, I'm sure.
Oh, wow.
So what'll happen if it's a really short audition? Sometimes she'll say, okay, I want you to just go ahead and give me 3 takes back to back. And she'll go, and action. And you'll go, you'll slate yourself. Yeah. This is J. Anthony McCarthy for the new Acura Integra. And it's like 3 lines. It is awesome. It is awesome. It is awesome. And the idea is to give 3 completely different takes.
I got you.
And that's, if you do multiple takes, if somebody asks you for multiple takes, it isn't about doing your best version of the same take. It's about, okay, here's a good one, and here's another good choice using those words.
Okay.
All
right, so that's one short ones.
Right.
But what about the ones that got a little bit more, maybe a
little
paragraph?
more meat?
Maybe a paragraph.
That's, you go in, you read it, and like I said, if she likes it,
okay,
that's it. You're out of the booth. If she doesn't like it,
all right,
she'll
so
suggest.
You might only have one take of or submission for that take.
Exactly
okay,
right.
Fair enough. I wondered on that. And the other thing is, the nice thing about going there is you got somebody who can coach you a little bit of that.
Exactly right. Now, here's the thing.
What about the ones you self-submit?
Here's the thing. Because of time commitments, and for both Portia and myself, she really appreciates, and I think some of the other agencies do as well, she really appreciates people who can do their own home studio type setups and deliver good material. Because of that, through the kindness of my parents and some other things, I was able to invest in a thing called a Portabooth Pro.
Yeah, you talked about it last week.
It's like Harlan Hogan.
You said you got it all fixed.
I finally got it fixed. So now I don't go in to see Portia ever.
Oh, okay.
Ever. Except for the class that I took a couple of weeks ago, specifically to try and polish my stuff so that I can deliver self-directed stuff, so that I can, all right, that was my best take. I'm going to listen to it now and go, oh yeah, you know what? That's not what I wanted it to sound like. I need to go back in and do it and punch it here and punch it there. So I have to be performer and a director, and I have to be able to take one hat off and put the other one on specifically. And I know that sounds kind of, straightforward and like, well, duh, of course. But it's really easy to get caught up in like, oh, that was a good take. Oh, that felt so good. That felt so good.
Yep.
And not listen to it and realize later on when you listen to it, it's like, oh, crap. I peaked it right there, or I really popped that P and it sounded terrible. Or what's that? Oh, my God. That picked up the next door neighbor's guitar. God damn it. And having to, and not paying attention. So I have to do both. Not terribly hard, just putting in the time to do it.
Yeah.
But also having to be critical of your own work without being hypercritical. Oh my God, I hate my voice. What's wrong with me? Oh, I can't do this. Being able to go, all right, this is what I wanted it to sound like, and this is that's it. Okay, boom, save it, send it, done.
Yep.
So.
Which is great because 5 to 7 years ago, that's not something that was even possible.
Nope. Not. And there's a thing called an ISDN line, which is a super duper network connection that's supposed to give you high fidelity and everything else. And I've got stuff right now that gives me work that sounds just as good as that, and I can deliver it. Through Dropbox if it's too big of a file.
Yeah.
So
we transfer.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep.
So.
Oh, okay.
So yeah. But.
So back to Magic.
The Magic Castle.
Magic Castle.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I've been to the Magic Castle.
Yeah.
Great experience, and the reason I enjoy it is I've done magic.
Wow, I didn't realize that.
Yes, and I had an uncle when I was like 10 to 15 in that range, those years, who was a magician.
Wow.
He was a priest and a magician, married my aunt, and he would be up. He's down. At that time, I think he was in Kansas, but he'd come and visit us, and eventually he ended up taking over a parish up in Buffalo, where I'm from. And so we would go to his church because obviously he's family.
Right.
And so when he was up here for those 5 years or so, he would show me some of the magic stuff, and he, for my birthday, he'd buy me a little magic kit and stuff like that. So I started learning how to do it and really trying to get good at it. So I could do some close-up magic, which is good. I could do some card tricks and stuff, but he kind of exposed me to it, and your friend's right, saying the hard part is coming up with that pattern.
Wow.
Be able to talk to people and have something that's going to allow you to keep people engaged, so they're not always looking at your hands and everything else, and being so critical and trying to find how everything's being done and stuff. So there's a lot of wisdom in what he was saying.
Right.
But the Magic Castle was absolutely just blew me away.
Yeah.
It's almost like the haunted house in Disney, where you turn the corner and all of a sudden there's this whole new facet of this castle that you've never knew was there, and then there's a downstairs. There's an almost like a cellar area where they have a stage downstairs. Also, if you just go downstairs, there's people just sitting at tables having a drink. If you come and if you sit with them, they'll start doing magic for you.
Yeah, because they're almost all
and
the
everybody's
magicians that
usually
are there.
sitting with a deck of cards in their hands, and they're either shuffling them or cutting their cards with one hand, and that or playing with a coin. They'll do the coin through the fingers.
Right.
Right. They'll do the coins over the knuckles.
Right.
And you're going, oh my gosh! There's everywhere you look, there's magicians.
Yep.
Because they come and look at and so they can learn and see what other magicians are doing, try to catch something, like comedians go into other comedians' show because they want to see what's hot, what's trending, and so on.
Yeah.
And wonderful shows. I went to the main stage, saw the show there. The night I went was not mandatory to eat, but I ended up buying an appetizer for the guy who sponsored me to go in because I wasn't a member.
Right.
And of course, we had a little liquid libations.
Right.
Because it's so much more enjoyable
good stuff there.
when you're relaxed. Yep. And it was fun because everybody's clean, dressed up. It's almost got that 20s feel because you got because the structure of the castle is almost in that time frame, right?
When they had to rebuild it after the fire, they rebuilt it to those specifications.
Yeah.
So much of the glass that's in the dining room. There's glass see-throughs from one part of the dining room to the next, but the lamps, all of the lampshades, and this giant chandelier they're all Tiffany glass. They're
Right.
all the real Tiffany. It's astonishing what they've got in there.
The guy who let me come, he's a magician. He does magic for kids and stuff. So he's actually a member, and I met him at church, and he's just like gobbling that stuff up. So he loves to go there, and he loves to turn people on, which I happen to be that person that time. But it's just so much fun. It's so enjoyable. It half the show is just the castle itself. The other half is all the magic that's going on everywhere you look. It's such a great place. So if you ever get a chance to get out here and have an opportunity to go to the Magic Castle, make sure you bring some nice clothes because they're going to have to. They won't let you in without them.
And some money.
And a little bit of money.
Yeah.
But there's no admission to get in.
Unless you're buying dinner, which sometimes
it's only the only money you need is what you spend, and
Right.
there's no drink minimum or anything like that.
Right.
So you can literally not have to spend a lot if you don't want to.
Yeah.
At least in my situation.
Yeah.
But the magic is just phenomenal.
And
And you're right, Tony. It's not magicians locally. It's magicians all over the world.
Yep.
Come to this place specifically to show off what they're doing because they know they got the magic community there. So
Yep.
they don't have to go far because it's there on a nightly basis.
Yep.
So it's really something to see.
One of the things that I was very turned on by was the idea that they offer classes. And one of the things is when you are in classes at the Magic Castle, and I haven't checked pricing yet because I don't want to think about how much it's going to cost and dealing with that because I'd be tempted and I need to be very focused on things until later. But
Yep.
while you are taking classes, you are considered an associate member of the castle. You can show up and just hang out, and as he said, just hang out and do your magic for people. Those are some of those people sitting at those tables are some of the associate members who are like, I'm gonna work on my pattern, I'm gonna work on my passes, I'm gonna work on my shuffle, I'm gonna work, and they're just looking for people to do their shtick for the whole way through, and it's just it was a great experience. It was a lot
I
of
thought
fun.
I had a deck of cards in here. I was going to show you a little bit of what I know, but
That would go over extremely well on a radio show.
I was going to show you though, Tony.
Yeah, well,
you could be impressed and
yeah.
let people know how impressive I am.
You could listen to them riffle the cards, and
But if we go to the studio,
because that'll be a live.
There'll be a live show, and we'll be on.
It'll be streamed, I think.
Video as well,
Yeah,
as
so-
audio. So maybe you can see it then.
Yeah.
Let's get into something a little bit now for something completely different.
Right.
And if you listen to our show on a regular basis, it's not that different because it's something we talk about usually weekly.
Right.
Marvel
Agents of
Shield. Well, the good and the bad.
Yes.
I'll start with the good. We got more than one. This wasn't the last episode.
Yeah,
we got 2 plus the finale. So
3 more episodes.
3 more
We
episodes.
think we understand.
Yep.
And that's exciting.
In addition to the one we saw tonight,
Right.
or we watched tonight, because I tape it and we always watch it right before we do the show.
Right.
But a couple of faux pas for me this week.
Okay.
I pointed them out, I believe, while we were watching. The lie detector.
Right.
Yeah, it was kind of weak on what they did there.
Yep.
But other than that, okay. I think it was good. They're trying to move it along. Unfortunately, spoiler alert, but again, it's been out already. A character who we got introduced to last week is no longer with us.
Yep. That's a shame.
It's a shame. I thought he'd be a good addition.
I liked his character, and I also like him as an actor and a comedian.
Yeah, I thought he was well cast, and it was a good role for him. It's a shame that it's over for him.
Particularly since the way they wrote him is he really seemed to have a lot on the ball. Even though he was kind of a nerd, he was very adamant about how certain things seemed to work.
Right.
And so...
Well, he's been living at that
secret hideout.
Secret hideout from Flurry.
Right.
For
Fury.
how many... Fury.
Yeah.
What did I say, Flurry?
Flurry, yeah.
Well, I'm from Buffalo,
Yeah,
so it makes sense. But he's been living there forever, so,
Right.
his pictures or his wall art rotates, so it looks like he's got different views from time to time because
so he doesn't go crazy.
Because he's got no windows in the place. But anyways, Ward
Yes.
got found out finally.
Right.
And it didn't happen the way I thought it was gonna, but it still happened. It's good that they're on. At least Sky's onto him,
Right.
which is good.
Yep.
Unfortunately, Coulson kind of ruined things with May,
Yeah.
and I don't know if he's gonna be able to patch it up in time, or if he's gonna be able to patch it up.
It's Coulson. He'll patch it up.
It's Coulson.
He came back from the dead for crying out tears.
The kids, though, thought the kids would be able to, be able to talk a little bit more, but they, Fitz and Patrick, whatever is it?
Fitz and Simmons.
Fitz and Simmons, but they're still milking that for all they can.
Yeah.
And the new guy, the clairvoyant right hand man, former right hand man.
Yeah.
I thought he was going to be bad, but he's turning out to be good.
And so far.
Yeah.
And of course, we thought other people were good before we found out.
Yep.
So he could be a double agent as well. We don't know. We'll find out. But I'd like him to be good. I like his character, and I like the way he's developing.
Yeah, I like what he was doing with Fitz.
Yes.
Fitz would be trying to explain things to impress himself in front of the girl.
Right.
And I don't know the character's name.
And he was right there.
He was right there going, yeah, I already know that. I already know. Or he would finish his sentence.
Yes.
He goes, you know what that? Yeah, I know what it is.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, of course you do.
Yeah,
It's like it was pissing Fitz off.
Yeah,
that was fun.
He's
that
feeling competitive because he loves
threatened.
Simmons. And,
feeling threatened because he loves Simmons. Yeah.
Can't say it because,
No, and that's what I'm saying. The kids. I thought the kids would be able to.
12-year-old is what every emotional age is of television characters, no matter what their actual age is. So
well, in this case,
I can't tell a girl I love her.
Yeah, they're nerds.
Golly.
They're nerds. So obviously they're like 10 instead of 12.
Yeah,
okay.
So, okay.
But all in all, it was okay. I thought it was a solid episode.
Yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed it.
Yeah.
I thoroughly enjoyed it, and I think it sets things up well. I'm really interested in the little button that we had with May. And seeing what that leads to.
Their mother?
Yes.
Their mother at the end? That was interesting.
And who she works for.
Yeah.
Because, the mother's like, my agency hasn't been closed down.
Yeah, that's right. And then also the tease they put in for Mary or whatever, who they're going to go see or find.
Right, Maria.
Right. And
who may actually, I think that Maria Hill is the second in command of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Oh,
so
okay.
Maybe that's who they were talking about. I don't know.
It probably is, because they got to tie it all back in, because coming up next year is Avengers 2.
Yeah, Age of Ultron.
Age of Ultron. And I was reading, I told you I found this website that's got a list of all these things that are going on in the Marvel world.
Right.
With all these movies and stuff. And they were talking about that Marvel is basically set up till 2022 for scheduling of what they predetermined kind of what they want to do and how they want to do it. Now, obviously, the pieces can move, but they're looking at 2 to 3 movies a year between now and then.
I'm excited about
next
that.
year. Oh, are you kidding me?
I'm excited about it as a
and
fan.
that's not including X-Men and DC, which Marvel doesn't own.
Right.
The X-Men is being owned. It's not part of their umbrella right now.
Which is a shame.
They're trying to get it back. I just got back the Fantastic Four and Spider-Man.
Right.
But they don't got Superman or the X-Men.
Well, Superman is DC anyway.
DC, right.
But X-Men is Marvel. So
yeah. So, but they're looking at Avengers 2 next year, and then Ant-Man.
Right.
And then coming back the year after, another 2 movies after that, and then another 2 movies after that, and it's just.
It excites me as a fan. It also excites me as a possibly working actor.
Yes, and the thing about it also is, Tony Stark, who plays Tony Stark, Robert Downey Jr. Right. Mm-hmm. He hasn't signed on for an Iron Man 4.
Right.
So he's only signed on for Avengers 2 and 3.
Right.
After that, we don't know. We already know that the guy who plays Captain America.
Yeah, Chris Evans.
Chris Evans. Once his contract's up, he's done. So the good and the bad is the mainstays that built this machine right now are going to be falling through the cracks.
Uh-huh.
But that's only going to allow Marvel to start introducing more and more characters.
Right.
So you're going to see, especially in Avengers 2, several new characters that they're hoping to be able to springboard off of, or at least introduce, so that Galaxy of the whatchamacallit?
Guardians of the
Guardians
Galaxy.
of the Galaxy is the next one out this year.
Yep.
So
which looks like a blast.
It looks like a total blast.
Yeah.
So there's a whole gamut of characters that they can cross-pollinate and so on. So it's, even though we might not have Tony Stark anymore, or at least Robert Downey
as Tony,
Tony, we'll have more of the Marvel world to be exposed to between now and whenever they get tired of this,
right.
or the public gets tired of this,
right.
Which is not going to be anytime soon, I don't think. Do you?
Nope.
I mean,
as long as they keep putting out,
this is a great time to be
films.
A comic fan. I'll tell you that much. Yeah,
that's the key.
Marvel's
movies has done a good job with particularly with all of the Iron Man and Avengers films.
Yeah.
They've done a great job. Thor, Iron Man, Avengers.
And I thought they've done great
characters.
Captain America too.
Yeah, well, that's
Thor.
part of that.
Yeah, and
so
Thor.
That's part of what I'm talking about there. So, but yeah, so that's all of that.
And there's news that Romanoff,
Natasha Romanoff,
Natasha
the
Romanoff
Black
might
Widow.
get a spin-off based on this Captain America doing so well.
Yeah.
So that could be next year, not next year, but the year after. It'll be the year of Avengers 3. So, I mean, it's just so much to look forward to.
Yep.
So much good stuff coming up. I can't wait.
I gotta put myself on the radar of the casting director. So
well, that's what we got to do. Let's make it a goal between now and 2 years from now.
Yep.
Where both of us are going to at least get into one of these things.
Yeah, I got to audition for. I'm fairly certain it was one of the Marvel movies that we talked about, but I can't name it because I
Still can't.
I signed a non-disclosure.
Okay.
But it was to voice an alien character.
Oh, nice.
And it was a great voiceover audition, and I was in the room with. I was so excited when I walked in because I recognized every guy in the room. Like I knew what every guy in the room was, what they'd worked on.
Where were we on time?
We're doing great.
Okay.
We still got 4 minutes. So
4 minutes. Okay.
But just to kind of keep in mind of staying with entertainment and where we are and everything else, one of the things that I was going to bring up, Amazon and HBO, Amazon's Prime, which I have by accident. I got a free 2 weeks or a month deal last year, and I used it to ship a package. And then I didn't cancel it in time, so they charged me the $79, and it was like, oh, whatever. Well, I didn't realize just what a cool thing Amazon Prime was, because Amazon Prime doesn't just get you free 2-day shipping on anything you order from Amazon that qualifies for Amazon Prime, which is a lot of stuff, which is fantastic. Not only does it do that, but it also gives you access to a ton of not live streaming, but of on-demand streaming movies, videos. Yeah, that's what Amazon Prime is. Now, I paid $79.99 last year, $80. You break that down per month, that ain't much.
No, it's like $6-7 a month.
Yeah, it's very little. Now it's going up this year. It's going all the way up to $99.99. It's going up to $100. That's still less than $10 a month.
Yep.
And they just made a deal with HBO specifically.
Oh, nice.
Now you can't see the brand newest things, so you're not going to be able to watch Game of Thrones right now, but you can see Sopranos. And they just made a deal with Downton Abbey. And a lot of these shows that are very popular. So a lot of the things, The Wire, you can watch the entire Wire now without having a subscription to HBO or buying all the DVDs.
That's cool.
And there's a great article out there about it.
Kind of like Netflix.
Yeah, it is. And the thing is that this particular article was saying that Netflix is the one that's kind of really losing out on this because Netflix was kind of basing their business plan mirroring what HBO has done. And they've got great stuff. They have House of Cards, these shows that were Netflix-specific created shows. And also Netflix has their great, the shows that are coming up for Marvel, some of the spin-offs that are supposed to be coming out with that for some of the smaller characters and things. This is all Netflix stuff. But HBO, because it's, kind of a big gun, they kind of have a little more, they've just offered more cachet to Amazon and made Amazon Prime more worthwhile. So
nice.
It was an interesting idea. And there's another group of casting directors that I need to get on the radar of. The people who know me, love me, and bring me in. I'm just not getting in enough. It's like the people who did How I Met Your Mother.
The hardest thing about this business is getting in the room.
Yep.
You can be the best actor in the world, but if you can't get in the room for people to see you,
yep.
then you're basically non-existent.
Yep.
And that's the hardest thing about this industry. They make it very, very difficult getting in that room and building that relationship. So
there's a lot of stuff that we had that we were going to talk about that we didn't get to, but we were having a good time.
Well, the NFL schedule came out tonight.
Right.
The Bills got one Thursday night game. We were hoping to get two national televised. We thought we were going to get the Thanksgiving game against Detroit because of the passing of Ralph Wilson, being from Detroit. Didn't get it. But we got a Thursday night game against Miami in Miami. So that's about it there. And other than that, I'm still watching my Castle marathon.
Going through
and
that.
I'm having a blast.
Day.
I really love that show. You get a chance, watch that show, Castle. I think you'll enjoy it.
All right. Well, I think that's it because that has been another episode of Drinks at Sunset with
The Wise Guys.
See you next week.
It's the Hollywood Rockin' Wrap-Up with your host, Jason Hadley. Following her beatdown on Real Housewives of Atlanta, Kenya Moore is still holding her breath for an apology from Portia Williams. And what better way to describe Real Housewives of Atlanta than literally waiting to exhale meets Jerry Springer? Paparazzi caught up with Joan Rivers for her thoughts on Lindsay Lohan's supposed miscarriage. However, if paparazzi had to catch up, the real news here seems to be a hearty congratulations to Joan Rivers for not breaking her hip. Former New Kids on the Block member Donnie Wahlberg opened up about his recent engagement to Jenny McCarthy. Donnie claims he knew it was love the first time he laid eyes on her, followed immediately by laying his chest, his waist, and his legs on her. Wanting to stay out of the limelight these days, Jay-Z and Beyoncé turned down an invitation to Kim and Kanye's wedding next month. Expected to be a media circus, Kim will be marching down the aisle to this. And that's the Hollywood Rockin' Wrap-Up. Follow us on Twitter at Rockin' Wrap-Up.
We want you to take the shows with you, so subscribe to our podcast at iTunes or tune in live every Friday from your desktop or your internet-ready mobile device and listen live.